Sabythesimmer. I hope you're doing well this Tuesday. So I'm back with another speed build today. I hope you enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. So you might feel like it's a bit familiar because I did film a little bit of this on a live on YouTube. I wanted to test out YouTube Live and see what that was like. So I did, and basically started building that on live on YouTube. I think it was like Saturday, not recently, maybe like not last Saturday, but the Saturday before. I think it was a good 2 weeks ago, to be fair. And yeah, I just decided I wanted to try out YouTube, so I did give it a little try, and I enjoyed it. It was good. It worked better than Twitch for me. So I'm just gonna strip it back to basics when I go back to Twitch, because yeah, just adding all the stuff when, like, clearly my laptop just isn't okay with it is a problem. So I'm just gonna strip it back a bit with Twitch, and I'm probably gonna do another random YouTube live at some point, because it was nice. It was nice to do something a little different and just be on a different platform as well. So yeah, you would have already seen a little part of this because I left the live stream up on my channel, so you can go and see that if you want to see me build a little bit of this build in some real time and kind of the inspiration behind it, my thought process behind it, and I kind of talk you through as well some of the like decisions that I make in terms of like how I put roofs together, how I put floor plans together and things like that, which I don't normally always do in my speed builds. But if you want to watch me do a bit of like real-time building, then you can go and watch that live stream. I think that'll be fun to do in the future, like some more of that. If you don't mind basically seeing a bit of a double, so you don't mind seeing a bit of a live stream and then also seeing the final product come together on a speed build, then I hope you don't mind that. Let me know in the comments. But this is going to be a bit of a two-part speed build, which I don't really like to do. I don't really like to break up a speed build in two parts, because essentially you're supposed to speed up the footage, so it's supposed to be quick to watch. But this is a big build, and it took me a while to do. So altogether it was like 3 hours to do on stream, and I only did the front of the house, and I still had little details to finish on the front of the house when I ended the stream. So after I've ended the stream, I still had a few more things to do with the outside at the front. And what I did this time around, which I did differently to how I normally build, I normally focus on all of the landscaping once I'm doing it. So I normally do the front and the back landscaping if there's a back garden. I always do it all at the same time. But this time around, I really focused on the front first. And once the front was done and I was happy with that, I moved on to the garden. And I don't know, I feel like it kind of worked out better for me in that respect, because it just meant that I was able to focus on one area at a time. And also sometimes it can be kind of difficult to figure out what you want the back to look like when you haven't really finished the front, or if you're not sure what plants and flowers and stuff you might want to carry on in the back, or what the plan is for the back. So it gave me a nice little break to think about things like slightly separately. So I'm happy that I decided to go with that flow instead of trying to do it all at one time. So yeah, it was about, I think, about 3 hours on the stream, and then after stream, literally when I ended the stream, I just carried on building. So I didn't finish it until, I don't even know what time I finished it at, but I just know that it took me a while to finish. And there's a few things that you won't see in this speed build that have changed for the original, like the final build, because it was just such a faff to like try and figure out what I wanted to do with certain spots and certain spaces in this build. So yeah, I hope you guys don't mind that, but I need to remember to like speak about it as it comes up on the screen, because I have a bad feeling. I have a bad habit of doing that. Like, I'll have in mind things that have changed, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna speak to you guys about the changes that I've made as and when they're happening, or whatever the case may be, and then I just totally forget, and it's so annoying. But yeah, as you can see, I'm doing the roofs, and the front bit I was I was using a reference image, so I'm going to put the reference image on the screen for you guys so you can see what I was working with. And I realized that there was a window on the top floor, but there's no top floor essentially in the build that I made originally. Like, if you could have seen it, it was just one floor, and I realized that there's also a second floor, but it's essentially hidden in the roof. It would be like hidden a bit. I don't know if you'd call it a lofted room. I don't know. I'm pretty sure lofted room is when you can see over the edge, right? Or see over the side. I don't know the technical term for it, but basically originally I just went for one floor, and then realized that the image kind of showed that there was a window above the first floor. So I realized, yeah, I'm gonna have to hide the room in the roof, which I'm fine with doing. I've kind of got the hang of it now. It sometimes can be annoying because I don't like how pointy the roof is, and I realized, like, the wider you make the house, the lower I think you can make the roofs. But I don't want the house to be super wide in order to make a roof that's like a room that's like a decent size. So yeah, it was a bit of a faff. It was very annoying, and you would have only seen me sort out that front bit, because the back bit is where I kind of wanted a balcony, because I knew I wanted the main master bedroom to be in there, and then they have their own ensuite and everything like that. But it changes as I build, and you'll see the way it turns out in the next part, because I didn't add the floor plan like overview into this part, because obviously you'll see all the furnishing and everything like that. So I was going to keep it a little bit of a surprise. It's not that much of a surprise, because if you've already been on my gallery, you've already got this build. Probably, maybe, I don't know. But it's already up in the gallery, so yeah. You can probably see what's happening inside anyway, if you've already seen the build, or if you haven't already, I don't know. But yeah. I wanted a balcony for the master bedroom, and it was a faff to try and figure out how I wanted it shaped, where I wanted to place things and everything like that. So you don't see me kind of come together with that process. And also, when I do furnish the bedroom, which you'll see in the next part, I cut out me switching things around. So I kind of had originally planned that the bedroom was going to be this big room that had a had an ensuite bathroom, and then the balcony was kind of separated from the bedroom, which I didn't really like, because in my mind it didn't make sense to have the bedroom. No, originally, sorry, I said it the other way around. Originally the bedroom had the balcony attached to it, but then the bathroom was separated from it, because I had to have a bit of a walkway almost. So I just made a bit of a walkway, so the bedroom and the bathroom are separated now, and then the balcony is accessible through the master bedroom. And then I changed it a few times. It was just a faff to work with, because originally I just had the walkway to the balcony, and it was separate from the bedroom, and I wanted the bedroom to have the balcony, but I also wanted them to have an ensuite. So the bathroom isn't technically attached to the bedroom, but there's literally a door and from the bedroom, and opposite that door is the door for the bathroom. So it's not far away, and it's not classed as an ensuite, but it's their own bathroom essentially. I feel like the floor plan was a bit of a weird one for this one. So you can see now that I have actually got the balcony sorted out. I did originally figure, like, I wasn't sure how I was going to do the balcony, but in the end I just used a half wall to kind of like finish that bit off, because I still couldn't remember what the trick was to get roofs to not clip in with like fences. There's a trick that I saw, like, I can't remember if it was a TikTok or a video that I saw, like a YouTube short, but basically you could hide the bit of the roof that clips into the fences, but I couldn't remember how people did it and what the trick was. So I just ended up using half walls because they never fail. So I just went with it. And originally the build, you would have seen in the reference image, is all white. It's just a white farmhouse style home, and I decided to add a bit of a colour to it, because otherwise it would look very... I just feel like white homes in The Sims looks kind of weird, and especially because they might have like a blue tint depending on the time of day, so they kind of just look blue instead of white in the game. So yeah, I decided to just go with white siding, but also I went with like a grey brick to kind of help add a bit of dimension. And I like the fact that I had some bump outs, so I could actually do that with that. And then this room has like an open plan living space, kitchen. The kitchen's pretty big, to be fair. Like the living space and the kitchen's pretty big. I did not know what to do with all that space. Like I'm someone who I like small spaces in my homes, to like build small kind of cozy homes where I don't have to think too much about how I'm going to fill up the space. Because sometimes I just find that if you have big homes, like they just feel a bit too empty, because like, how do I fill every corner? And that's the kind of way I build. I kind of have to fill every corner, even though I don't have to. I feel like I need to. So that was a bit of a struggle, but nevertheless I got there in the end, and did get to furnish it out, and yeah, turned out fun. It's just a big space basically, which is great if you have like a big family. This home isn't like for necessarily a big family, but I had in mind a bit of a generations family going on. So when I originally started building this, I just wanted to build a base game home. I was just inspired to build a base game home. I saw the build that I put on the screen where did I find it? From Pinterest. I can't get my words out today. From Pinterest, and I was like, I want to try and make this, but I want to try and make it a base game build. So that's the plan that I originally went in with. But then I was like, oh wait, I haven't done a build for a base game skills set kind of thing in a while. The last one I did was bartender, and I tried to do the gardener one, and I didn't like the way it turned out. It is on the gallery if you want it. There was just a base game build for a gardener if you want that on the gallery, but I just wasn't. I didn't love it. So I didn't film it for a speed build. And then I also started one for an astronaut, and I haven't finished it yet. So I'm going with an astronaut logic skill, and what other one? I'm trying to think of the skills I can kind of, because I'm trying to match a career and skills together that would work together hand in hand when I'm building a base game home for those specific kind of skills and hobbies and things like that. So yeah, the astronaut one I'm struggling with a bit. I feel like the space is just a bit big. I think I need to go back into it and just get through it. Just actually just go with it instead of like overthinking it too much. Because I think that's what I'm doing. I'm just overthinking it too much. But yeah, anyway. So I decided I'm going to continue that series and do another build. So I decided to go with a baker for this home. And I decided to go with baker / gardener because I feel like the two go hand in hand. Obviously in the base game you can't be necessarily like a baker or have a baking skill because that came with Get Together, I believe it is. But we have the cupcake machine. So the cupcake machine does make its debut in this build. Yes, it does. Are you guys excited? The cupcake machine definitely needs a whole revamp. Like I love the fact that we got a tiny telescope, like a normal size telescope. I'm really hoping they do it with all the future big objects, the microscope, the telescope, the cupcake machine. What's another one that's just stupid big? I think that's it actually. But yeah, I would love a little tabletop cupcake machine. Do you know, like we have from Dream Home Decorator, it came with like ovens that you can just put on the side. Why can't we have a cupcake machine like that? Like you just have to put the ingredients in and Bob's your uncle makes it or whatever. Or just like maybe you can get like a cupcake mix or a cake or a batter mix or what, I can't remember what they're called, but basically, you know the machines, you put a bowl in, it's got the whole whisk attached to it, and it just like, you just press the button and it starts whisking all the batter up and everything, that kind of thing. Why don't we have that? Because then, you know, I mean, I don't know. I think maybe because there's a few steps to it, because you'd have to prepare the mix, then you'd have to bake it in the oven, which I guess isn't that much of a, like, process. But the cupcake machine is quite quick, to be fair. Like, you just see the machine churning and doing all its random stuff, and then cupcakes turn out. But anyway, that was the plan, because I kind of feel like gardening goes with it, with baking / cooking, because when you have ingredients, your meals are cheaper. So if you have certain ingredients, you can make things in your kitchen that are obviously a bit cheaper because you have the ingredients. So it means that you're like cutting down on the cost and just having to, like, I don't know how it works, but it makes sense to me, and I like the idea of it. And I do like, myself, when I play The Sims, I do like for my Sims to have the ingredients and stuff so that they can cook food and it can be kind of cheap. So yeah, and I think it improves the quality. I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it does. So with the base game and the cupcake machine, I don't think you actually need like things like strawberries to make strawberry cupcakes and things like that. However, with the things that you can bake from like the oven in the actual kitchen, like there's a strawberry cake, there's a chocolate cake, there's a hamburger cake, and I think, does the cheesecake come with base game? I think the cheesecake comes with base game. So those kind of things that you can cook in just your normal kitchen in The Sims. I'm pretty sure the strawberry cheesecake you could use strawberries for, and then obviously that will mean that will cut down on the cost of that. Things like that. Also, things like apple pies, you can make that in a base game, because I did a whole like current household episode. It's so old now, and I've played for the generation and moved on to the second. I'm now on the third generation, and I haven't filmed any of it because, if I'm honest, I'm a bit bored. Like, I keep getting bored with my legacy gameplays. I keep getting bored. But anyway, that's besides the point. The founder gen of that kind of legacy gameplay that I was playing, she would bake apple pies, and I was literally just playing this on my laptop, so it was the only base game that was on there. And she would bake apple pies. I'd use the selling table because you can get it in the debug menu, because it came with the like Sims Sessions event that we had like last summer, I think it was. Like the Sims put some stuff in the game for that to run, and then it's still in the debug menu now, so you can still find it. If you don't want to go into through debug, you can also search it on the gallery, because that's what I do. So I'll just search Sim Sessions on the gallery, and someone's put like a room with all the stuff in it, which is great. So you don't have to search for it in the debug, because I don't know where to find it in debug, if I'm honest. But if you get that selling table, it still functions. It works the same as every selling table. So you can like get your selling table, go to the local park, or you can just do it right outside your Sim's home and like put all your apple pies on there and sell them. And if you bump up the price, you can make a good profit from it. So that's what I kind of had in mind. I did forget to put a selling table in this build. I was meant to put one in the garden to kind of like simulate that she's like the person who bakes will take the selling table, put it in the inventory, head to the park and sell their cupcakes and stuff at the park or whatever. But yeah, I said she because I did have a family in mind. I had like a same-sex couple in mind, and they have their child, and then they're also living with their in-laws basically. I always struggle to explain in-laws living with, like, I always struggle to like explain who's related to who. Which I don't know why it's such a struggle to say, but yeah, I'm assuming you guys will understand what I mean. So basically we have grandparents, and the grandparents' daughter is now married, and they're living in the same house, and they have their own child, basically. So we got grandparents, we've got the grandchildren living in the house, and we've got the children of the grandparents. Yeah, see, I'm confusing you. I'm confusing myself. Basically, we got 3 generations living in the house, okay? That's what I'm getting at. We got 3 generations living in the house, and I kind of like the idea of it. I don't really do a lot of like generational kind of homes, and I watch people make like generations kind of style homes, and I love it because obviously you get the element of like so many members living in the home. But for me, when I play the game, like I don't normally have a lot of members in the house at the same time. Like, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really have a lot of members of the same family at the same time, because what I normally do is like if I have a sim and they have a child, I normally like get them to just move out and live their own lives with their partner and their child and stuff like that. So I don't often like get them to just stay at home with their own parents and stuff like that. But I've started a whole new legacy now on my laptop, so hopefully, you know, that will spruce things up a bit for me. I did buy seasons so that I have that on my laptop, so it has changed things a little bit, which has been fun to have like things to do, holidays, and like just extra things in my game to play with and have fun with. So I'm enjoying that. But yeah, as you can see, all that time I was talking, we literally only did the front of the house. So up until now is the point where I ended the stream and like was building a way outside of the stream, basically. So I just added in a little table and chair at the front. I don't know why, but I just thought it was so cute. And so I added that right in the front in the corner. And then I put also a, I think it's like a water fountain or like the bird feeder thing. Well, it's not a bird feeder. It's like a bird bath. I think that's what you would call it. Because it's just a little one. It's got little birds on the side. It's like in sculptures. And I just put that in the corner because I thought that'd be cute. And also like the sound of like the kind of trickling water like in the front garden while you're sitting in the summer. I just thought it'd be so cute. So I went with that. And I didn't really use a lot of landscaping that I don't normally use, but I tried to use slightly different things to what I normally use. And this time around, I didn't put the terrain paints down first. I kind of put the landscaping down first and then add the terrain paints, which, yeah, I mean, I'm still figuring out what my kind of process is when it comes to building. Like, I have my methods. Like, I wonder if you guys have a method as well. Like, do you start with a particular thing when you're building? Like, do you have in mind maybe a door that you want to use? Or do you have in mind the shape that you're going for? Like, let me know what your kind of process is when it comes to building, because I feel like I just follow through with the shapes. Like, I don't feel like I'm very imaginative when it comes to building on my own. I often use a lot of reference images, so I don't feel like I use a lot of inspiration when it comes to my builds. I just use what I can see and then I kind of work with that. So I won't say I totally don't have any imagination whatsoever, but I mean, yeah, I just go with the flow and see what happens. So I went to play test this build when I finished building it, and I thought I turned autonomy off, and I'm pretty until now I'm still sure that I turned it off. And my sim decided to use the barbecue, which I end up putting on the porch, which is a wraparound porch, by the way. It wraps all the way around so you can get to the garden from just walking on the porch from the front of the house right to the back, which I think is a cute little touch. And basically, yeah, I put the barbecue originally like right next to the plants. I put those like ivy kind of plants at the side of the build, and I put it there just because that side of the build looked really boring and plain, so I didn't know what else to put there. So I then put the barbecue there, and my sim decides to grill something, and obviously I put it very close to the wall and it's next to the ivy, so you know, you can guess what happened next. There was a fire. There was a fire, and I said, why is there a fire when your autonomy is off? You shouldn't be cooking autonomously. Why would you do this? So yeah, I moved the grill, so now it's away from the house. It's like on the ground floor. Well, not the ground floor necessarily, but it's in the grass area of the build. It's no longer on the raised up porch because your sims just can't behave themselves. And I decided to get rid of the ivy because, to be fair, it did scare me. And the house went up so quick. Like, I thought, this is it. The house is going to be, like, burnt to a crisp. I'm going to have to put it back down with, because I normally add my builds to the library because terrain paints for some reason disappear. So I normally, once I'm finished, I'll add it to the library so that I can just place it back if the terrain paints disappear for whatever reason and they want to disappear for. So, yeah, I just thought, I'm going to have to basically put the build back down if it burns the whole house. Because, like, it was traveling inside, And normally, I don't have fires that often in my game, right? But when I do, I try to get rid of them as soon as possible because they scare me. And I don't want any of my Sims to die. I don't want the fire to just take over everything. And also it's expensive because I don't think the compensation that they give you in the game when things set alight even covers half of the stuff. So I try and minimize the effects of the fire spreading to minimize the cost, basically. So yeah. I don't normally have fires, so I was very confused as to why it was spreading so quickly and why it was like in the house and she couldn't get to the fire to put it out. I was like, but you could get to the bloody grill to turn it on, but you now can't get to the fire to put it out. So I had to call the fire brigade, and I don't think they even took it out. Like, I was just so confused because they just stood there and then all of a sudden the fire was out and I got a bit of money. So I said, you know what? I guess that's just how it goes. But I was just so annoyed that happened because I'm like, hello, you're here to play a test the build, not die in the build, okay? In the process of me putting this build together. So that was very rude, but I did end up moving the grill so I could save the sim and the house. So yeah, I literally just carry through the landscaping with the same kind of landscaping that I used at the front. I just carried it through in the back and decided to make a bit of a pathway to the back garden from the back garden to the front of the build with a path. I don't think I explained that even half as well as I should have, but you would have seen what I did. I just used the sidewalk slabs, which I always use to like blend in my builds with the world, and then I just created that path so that you could access the garden from the gate, but you can also access the garden from the wraparound porch and also just from, you know, being inside the house. I like several different accesses to the garden. I think it helps and it feels a bit more realistic as well. I use a lot of debug fences and bits on debug for this build. Like the fence at the front of the house is debug. The fence that I've used in the garden is debug. Like I used a lot of debug fencing, which I'm surprised because sometimes using debug stuff just gets on my nerves sometimes because you can't copy it. I can't always find it as easy as I found it the first time. So it just feels like a faff. And because your Sims pretty much see them as invisible items, they just walk through them all the time. So I really try not to pay attention to that. It happens, but I really pretend that I can't see it when it does because it just gets on my nerves. So I didn't really know what I wanted fully in the garden. All I knew is I wanted a separate space for the baker to be able to bake the goods, and obviously we needed a separate space for that cupcake machine. There's no way I'm putting that in an actual house. I refuse to put that in a house. It has to go in somewhere like a basement or a back room, somewhere where people don't have to see it and you don't have to be like ashamed of how huge that thing looks and have to explain to people that it just makes cupcakes. It isn't some kind of murderous machine because it does look very sus. It does look a bit scary, you know? So yeah, it is just a cupcake machine. Don't be scared, but I wanted to put it somewhere where it wasn't visible to the eye. So I do create a little workspace in the garden basically. And also I thought it'd be good next to the garden area with the planters, because then you can just like harvest that stuff and put it straight in there. And I'm very messy with my terrain paints, so I do have to clean up after myself once I've used the terrain paints because I am messy with them. I'm not very precise with them. I just do whatever I can. And I've been really liking to use, like, base game has like little bits of grass in the menu, and I like using it because it makes the garden look a bit more alive. Especially if you just got an area where the grass is just flat, just adds a bit of depth, a bit of something to it. So that's what I did, and I enjoyed it. I loved every second of it. In the garden area, I think I'm planting all the things that you could probably use to make like desserts, to be fair. And I can't remember. I don't feel like I've made all the base game desserts or made a bunch of base game like sweet treats and stuff. So I don't know what actual ingredients you do need, because you can't really buy sugar and flour and things like that in base game. But it's in the debug menu, which I've noticed, which I find strange. That, I mean, actually no, it's not strange because you would need it for the ingredients for the cupcake machine. That makes sense because the cupcake machine, sometimes you have to fit it, well not sometimes, you have to refit it with ingredients and you also have to clean it. I don't know if you can upgrade the cupcake machine. I don't think I've ever tried, because I wonder if you can upgrade it so that it doesn't get as dirty so quick, or it has like an automatic refill. But I don't think there's an upgrade option. I don't remember seeing one. So yeah, if we do get a new cupcake machine, a small one, please, please give us a small cupcake machine. I think from the summit, it kind of looks like we might get something that's kind of like Generations. Like I said, I've never played The Sims 3, so I did kind of, but like not properly. So I don't know really about the Generations pack, but I know everyone's raving about it, everyone wants it. So I'm wondering if the Generations pack could come with kind of like a small version of the cupcake machine, like Werewolves came with the small version of the telescope. And then we just got that in the base game, and then obviously Generations pack will come with its own for that pack. I was just hoping so, you know? What's your thinking? What's your thinking? This is the little outhouse that I went with for the baking space, really. I didn't want it to be too big, but I also wanted it to house a little bit of a kitchen as well. So all this in there is a sink and a fridge and some counter space, and then I've got some shelves in there, and then also the cupcake machine. I didn't want to fill it up too much, but then I was thinking about it, I was like, should I put the oven in there? I probably should have. And then that way you can just lock it, and then whatever, like the only people that can go in there are the people who actually bake, you know? But I left it. I didn't put the oven in there, but yeah, apologies for that. And also, annoying thing when I was playing testing, for some reason my sim decided to go in here, use the fridge to get the ingredients, and then go back into the main house for the kitchen to then cook. She only was cooking grilled cheese, so I don't understand why she needed to go to this fridge in here and then go into the main kitchen to carry on cooking the grilled cheese. Sometimes sims do things and it makes me question if they're okay. I know they're not, but sometimes I have to still question it, you know? Just to be sure. And then I've gone with some cabinets and everything on top as well. I kept it pretty simple in here. I didn't add loads and loads of stuff. And to be fair, I think this is like the last thing that I do. I'm pretty sure I don't do much after this. But yeah, the second part you'll see me furnish the main house basically. All the interiors, everything like that. I totally forgot to mention it's on a 40 by 30 lot. And it's got 3 bedrooms, it's got 4 bathrooms, there's 1 bathroom downstairs and then 3 upstairs, which are all basically connected to the bedrooms, which we'll talk about when we get into the second part, which you'll see on Thursday. And it is 150 simoleons, okay? It's a pricey build, so you definitely need several generations in here. So maybe some like grandparents who have retired, but their jobs, they was really high up in the ranks, so the retirement money that they get is good money, okay? Because they're gonna need it to pay these bills. I don't even know what the bills would be, but I'm imagining like 12,000 simoleons. Like, that's just a guess, but it's a pricey build. It is definitely a pricey build. But I enjoy making these like big family base game builds. It's interesting to try and use the base game items. It does get repetitive because you obviously will see similar things over and over again, and there's only so many things that you have accessible in the game, so it can feel a bit repetitive at times, but I've really been enjoying it. It was a fun process. And yeah, I think after I've done the, what do you call this, like the bakery room, the baker's room, I move on to the garden where there is some, where the planters are basically. I put some like table and chairs there, just thought it'd be cute to sit there, and like maybe you've just finished gardening, you want to sit there, your partner's brought out a nice glass of wine or maybe a cup of tea or coffee, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you drink, and you can just sit there and admire your work from, you know, your gardening. I think it's cute. Do you guys like gardening in The Sims? Because I really do. I find it really like therapeutic and like mundane, but like in the best way. Like it's not boring. It's like, I don't know, it's interesting for me. It's interesting. But yeah, this is the last thing I do. So if you do want this build, it is up in the gallery. You can just search my gallery ID, which is Sabythesimmer or Sabythesimmer02. All the details are linked in my description. I'll see you on Thursday for part 2 of this build. Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye.